morning, students. Good morning. Today we are going to have the continuation of the happy people, which is being given in today's session. So, if you have textbook speech, please open the page number 25. We can see what are the uh, given examples in the text that has been covered in the lesson Happy People. So, Happy People, the lesson was written by William Ralph Inch, and we can see what are the points or what are the examples that are even quoted to make the people happy with the lesson. So we shall see with the starting of the lesson. The wise man who wrote the so-called Proverbs of Solomon says. So you can see who is the wise person, who is the knowledgeable person. He given, and he also said the so-called proverbs with the sayings of these Solomon, which is a reference to the title of your Christian missionaries. And you can see because this lesson is again depended upon the Christian missionary. He is a renowned, Ralph Inge is a renowned clergy person, and you can know what are the things that are being given with the heart touching points there. So, the wise man who wrote the so called Proverbs of Solomon says, the heart knoweth its bitterness and stranger. So, the heart knows its bitterness and stranger doth not intermediate with its joy there. We really know it's little about the people who meet. So whatever the things we know, when people meet, we know all the things that are being shared with them really, and about the people who we see their faces, which are not much more than masks. So we see their faces, even though they covered with the mask, we are seeing there with the masks, but we cannot read what is there inside the hearts there. So that are the lines that are being given here. We really know very little about the people whom we meet. So as far as the people who are living in a society, we meet them, but we do not know what is there inside the mask, or which is there inside their hearts there. So that we can't even understand with the giving of that one. Robert Browning thanks God that the meanest of these creatures has two soul sides. So Robert Brown thought that the meanest of these soul sides want to face the world with, want to show with the woman he who loves her. So he is saying that the meanest of his creatures has two soul sides, one to face the world with, one to show the woman when he loves to her there. It is the only intimacy of the family. So it is the only intimacy of the family of life. In that what they are thinking with a perfect friendship. That is the veil partially drawn aside. And even then we do not lay bare, and even though we do not lie their hearts entirely. Who are really the happiest people? Now the question arises: Who are the real? Who are the? Who are really the happiest people? It is all that we have no answer ready. So we have no answer ready for which of us are most of being come inside beings mind and aim. We are sometimes in doubt whether its balance is on the right side or wrong side there. Looking back, I think I can separate the years when I was happy and those when I was unhappy. We can see here itself also. Looking by the happiest people, the question arises there. If you are happy, with the people of happy, and sometimes you should have to balance the situation of the state, that it could be either happy or it could be either unhappy. The situation is mostly focused on the so-called things, when we are going to do right things or even the wrong things. When come back to the looking back, I can think I can separate the years. So you can think, then he says that I can think I can separate the years when I was happy. But perhaps at the same time I should have judged it differently. We are never either so happy, so miserable, and suppose ourselves to be. So you should have to see these so called them to be never judged differently, and we are never either so happy, so miserable, or suppose ourselves to be. So you should have to think ourselves when we are making the things right or wrong, happy or unhappy, and even with the miser things are happiest. So whatever the things that are going to be happened in our life, that we should have to be ready to face them, and we should have to end them in the end. Then that what to be, that supposed to be. So that is why he has been given. We are never either so happy or so miserable as suppose ourselves to be. The successful man generally tells, the successful man generally tells that he was the happiest while he was still struggling for his success. Now we can say that the successful man generally tells us that he was the happiest while he was still struggling out for his success. Or sometimes before he discovered that an ambitious career was open to him. As a rule, the game of life is worth playing. So you can see that the career was open to him. With this rule itself, you can see the game of life is worth playing, but the struggle is the prize. You can see what is the being of the struggle, and that can be taken into themselves there. It is generally supposed that it is generally, now you can see, we said about the right thing and wrong thing, happy, happier life of the people, the unhappiness of the state of the happiness of the people there. Then we are going to come then with the next example of the successful person with himself to lead to the great success there. And this ambitious career was to open to him, and what is the game worth is playing there, and struggle is the prize there. It is generally supposed that the young are happier than the old. So we can say that, now you can say it is generally supposed that the young are happier than the old. This seems to be very doubtful. Young people are often very unhappy. You can see that young people are often very happy, torn by conflicting elements in their characters, which after a time come to some kind of mutual understanding. Robert Browning boldly claims that old age is the best life, and some old people agree with him. So now you can say that it is generally supposed that the young are the happiest than the old, and this seems to be very doubtful. Young people are very often when unhappy with the torn by the conflicting elements in their characters there. So you can see then this is said that young people are the people that makes in his views that young people are unhappy than the old people. Then according to himself, he is saying that older people are the happiest people, and those are the people who are best for the life. Some say that some people say these are the agree. Then some other people they say that youth is also the happiest people. Then you can see the old people and the youth. Old people is the happy people, then youth. Then apart from this example, now you are going to come to the married and unmarried also. The concept with the married are supposed to be happier than the single. So you can see that the married are the supposed to be the happier than the single. They are certainly less prone to commit suicide. Then like these people, they are very certainly less are inclined to commit suicide. But suicide is not very good taste. So you can see that suicide is not very good taste, and it has been pointed out. It has been pointed out that married people with no children are not much less suicidally inclined than bachelors and spinsters there. Now you can see that married people with no children are not much. Married people are much with no children. They are not satisfied with suicidally inclined there, so they are suicidally less. They are compared to less the married children with having no children there. So with no children, they are not much less suicidally inclined than the bachelors there. And that is the thing where it can see that they are also in the state of happiest one. Still, as a rule, marriage is probably the happiest state. Then you can see, still, as a rule, marriage is probably the happiest state. It all depends on whether the pair are well matched. So that you can see it all depends on whether the pair are well matched, and very bad choices are, I think, the exception there. On the whole, the happiest seem on the whole the happiest people seem to be those who have no particular cause for being happy. You can see on the whole itself the happiest people seem to be those who have no particular cause or being happy there, except the fact that they are so. So a good reason, no doubt, and yet should not choose a naturally content temperament is my first request from a fairy godmother. So you can believe in that fairy godmother. He is going to say the requesting with the grand godmother that it would be unfortunate if I said I wish to be the happiest one in England. If I wish to be the happiest man in England and promptly found myself locked up in asylum. So that you can see a cheerful lunatic who believed himself to be the emperor of a person in China. For all we know, to the contrary, the happiest man in England may be a madman, and none of us would wish to change the places with him. With most men need if they are to do much with their wives there. George Borrow he said that the author Lavengro thus addresses who suffers from depression. So you can see that now who is the person that makes use himself in the having of this depression. Now he is saying that George Borrow. You can see that George Borrow, the author of Lavengro, thus addresses who suffer from depression, how those this dark principle is thy best friend there. It may be the mother of wisdom and great works. You can see that this may be with the mother of wisdom and address of those who suffer from the depression there. How those, though you know that is the dark principle, is not thy my best friend. You can see it may be mother of wisdom and great works, or it is the dread of the horror of the night which makes the pilgrim hasten away. Thou should not be joyous, would not thou, then would be a fool. What great works was ever the result of joy, the punny one, who have never been the wise ones, the mighty ones, conquering ones to the earth, the joyous, I believe it not. This is rhetorical or rhetorical. So you can say that it is rhetorical. But I have noticed with the surprise and how often the biographies of the great men reveal that they were the subject to be frequent in the severe fits of depression there, which the world knows nothing of perhaps. It is the only shallow natures who never feel the tragedy of existence. I can sympathize with the man who wrote, Send me hence 10,000 miles from a face which always smiles. And that is the thing we can see that it says that it is a rhetorical there. I have noticed with surprise how often, how often, how often the principles of great men reveal the subject to frequent and severe fits of depression there, which the world knows nothing of perhaps. It is only shallow natures who never feel the tragedy and the world knows of nothing of them. Perhaps it is only shallow natures who never feel the tragedy of existence. I can sympathize with the man who wrote and sent me 10,000 miles from a face which always smiles there. And yet, and yet, who might, and yet who might take comfort from Barrow's rise of melancholy, have no remember that the sermon of the mount goes towards ranking worry as one of the deadly sins. The Spinoza agrees sadness and tristidia is never justifiable. He says, the medieval monks who must have known the moral dangers of boredom, placed among the seven deadly sins, which is called acedia there. They describe it as a compound of dejection, sloth, and irritability, which makes a man feel that no good is worth doing. We have forgotten the word and we are attracted or we are attacked by a thing. We blame our nose or livers, but perhaps the monks were right. So you are going to see here with the paragraph of this one. And yet, who might take comfort from the borrows of cries of melancholy, have to remember that Sermon of the Mount goes far towards the ranking of worry, which was making with the seven deadly sins. Spinoza agrees sadness or tristidia is never justifiable. He says that the medieval monks who have known well more dangers of boredom there, that placed among the seven deadly sins, which they called acedia. What happened, ma? Huh? Come here. They describe it is a compound of dejection, sloth, and irritability. ఇక్కడ రా చిన్నోడా. That no good is worth doing. How much time is there?
19 minutes అయిపోయింది.
Still 11 minutes is there, huh? I see.
20.
We have forgotten the word there. Then, when we are attacked, by the thing, we blame our nerves or our livers there. But perhaps the monks were right. You can see, but they were they were perhaps they were right there. And religion, then come to these monks are over, then religion is a great source of happiness. You can see that religion is a great source of happiness because it gives us the right standard of values and enables us to regard our troubles as a light affliction there. So you can see that religion is also a source of happiness because it gives us the right standards of values and enables to regard our troubles a light affliction there, which is but for a moment, but the religious temperament is susceptible to more grievous fits of misery than any other. So you can see that the religion is a great source of happiness because it makes us a right standard of values and enables us to regard our troubles as a light affliction there, which is but for a moment, but the religious temperament is susceptible there, and it is more grievous fits of misery than any other. We hear sometimes of the gaiety, so we hear sometimes of the gaiety which prevails in a monastery of nunnery. So you can see here, we hear sometimes the gaiety. So the making of the things which makes from the having of the prevalence of these monastery or nunnery. I confess that the vapid spiritual hilarity never rather irritates me there. Running away from the life ought not to be the maker. People make happy there. Unworldliness. So you can see unworldliness is based on knowledge of the world is the finest thing on earth. So you can see, but unworldliness based on ignorance of the world is less admirable there. So unworldliness based on knowledge of the world is the finest thing on earth. But this unworldliness based on ignorance of the world is less admirable there. Very different is the happiness enjoyed by such a saint as Hindu mystic and Christian missionary Sadhu Sundar Singh, whose life has just been written by Kenan Streeter there. So you can see that now very different is the happiness enjoyed with such a saint there, and this can be taken as our Christian missionary as a Sadhu Sundar Singh, whose life has just been written by this Kenan Streeter. So it is one of the most fascinating books. So you can see that it is one of the most fascinating books that I have read for a long time there. And there you can see that the sadhu has undergone every kind of persecution, including the 2 days at the bottom of a well in Tibet. He found himself among the decaying corpus of former victims there. Now he says that if this Sadhu Sundar Singh had undergone every kind of this prosecution there, persecution there, including 2 days. So you can see that persecution with the having of he had gone that he also made some kind of the mistakes that has been done there. So, including 2 days at the bottom of the well in Tibet, where he found himself among the decaying corpses of former victims there. He saves again, he lives with the life of Saint Francis of Assisi, is the happy as at most Christ-like of saints there. An English parlour-maid announced him to her mistress as follows: "There is someone who comes to see you, ma'am. I cannot make nothing of his name, but he looks as if he might be like Jesus Christ. So I urge my readers to read the Sadhu. It will make them feel better or worse, which is or the much same thing in this correction there. So in this correction you can see that the person who lives in these Saint Francis of these Christ-like of the saints, he looks like Jesus Christ there. Then English parlour maid announced to mistress as follows that there is someone who come to see you, ma'am. I can't say nothing of his full name, but he looks like Jesus Christ. I urge my readers to read the Sadhu. It will make them feel better or worse, which is the same thing in his connection. To descend from these heights, the busy are happier. So you can see, to descend from these heights, the busy are the happier one, and the idle. The man who has found
26
his
minutes.
the man
26.
the man who has found his work is much happier than those who was not found. In recognition of others is essential to all, but those of the strongest and proudest virtue. I think it should put its third of the gifts which I should ask from fairy godmother above mentioned. I should wish first for wisdom. King Solomon, he says, by his wisdom, I mean just estimate the relative value of things there. My second wish to be domestic happiness. Now this all the things have been gone. Now he is going to see with the ready of these domestic happiness, and my third for the approval of my fellows. Napoleon is said to have recommended. Now, Napoleon is said to have recommended a hard heart and a good digestion is the chief conditions of the happiness. You can see a hard heart and a good digestion. So you can see that the saying of a hard heart and a good digestion are the chief conditions. So this is the chief conditions for happiness. I have nothing to say against the battle, but a life without affection and sympathy could give only the negative kind of happiness there. So you can see that the conditions of happiness, and you can say that I have nothing to say against the second, but a life without affection and sympathy could give only a very negative happiness. Can we say some of the periods of history are happier than others? Nobody can doubt we have fallen upon evil times, and it seems to be true that we all take public affairs much tragically, and they did in the 18th century. Dr. Johnson lived through and the American War with the greatest misfortune that has ever happened to the British Empire. But this is how he delivers himself. The public calamity is there. Then Boswell, if I were in Parliament, I would be vexed with things that went wrong. Johnson, that can't, sir. Public affair vex no man. Have not they vexed you, little? Have you ever not been vexed by all the troubles of this ruin? Johnson says, I have never slept an hour less or ate an ounce less meat. We are not so philosophical. There must be thousands of Englishmen who, like myself, were awake all night. After the first omnibus bulletin about Jetland, they seemed to have hinted a great naval disaster there, but they through the war also. So you can see that we are told in the days of the Commonwealth, Bulstrode there, and Whitelock of the ambassador to the Hague was tossing Ache was tossing about through the night in anxiety about the conditions of his country. An old servant lying in the same room addressed, "Sir, may I ask a question?" "Certainly," replied the ambassador. "Sir, did God govern the world before you came unto it?" "Undoubtedly, and He will," he said. "He ruled the world well when you have gone out of it there." "Then undoubtedly," he said that, "Sir, can you trust Him to the rule of the world which we make them?" And the tired ambassador turned on his side and he fell asleep there. So, with the philosophical views of the accept there, we shall have the question to be continued, be given to the rule which has been taken into the tired ambassador which has been given to be fell asleep. So these are the few examples which are being given in the lesson of happy people to understand where the state of happiness is being confined there. Thank you.